Okay, I'm going to instruct on how to do a PDCA method sheet to solve a process problem. And PDCA just stands for Plan, Do, Check, Adjust, or Plan, Do, Check, Act. And it is based on the scientific method of problem solving. You'll need a PDCA sheet like this one, or you can use a whiteboard or a blank piece of paper once you get good at it. And this is to solve a problem on your own or up to 8 people. 7 or 8 gets a little tricky, but when you get good at it, you can make that work. But usually 2 to 5 people is the optimum. Our first important step is to date the sheet and introduce the general problem statement to the group, what you're trying to solve, and then introduce the method to solve it, which is this sheet. You can talk a little bit about this method. Second important step is to write down the problem statement or statements. Third important step is to write down the objective. Fourth important step is to ask people for the facts. Fifth important step is to go back and review the problem and the objective and the facts. Sixth important step is list possible actions that you could take, and these are experiments. These are things that might want to throw out to try. Seventh important step is to rate the action steps over here with a 0, a positive, or negative, depending on their effect. Eighth important step is to decide on what actions we're actually going to experiment with and try. We won't do all of them. Ninth important step is to set up a follow-up meeting so that people have time to do their actions and experiment and see what the results are in the follow-up meeting. 10th important step is to conduct the follow-up meeting. 11th important step is to fill in the adjust section down here. Okay, I'm going to go back through the important steps this time, and I'm going to talk more in depth about some key points and reasons for these important steps. First important step is to introduce the problem, and this can be a general problem statement, and you want to keep it short. Focus on the process, not on a person, and you want all the group to participate, everyone. And also talk about the method to solve this. What is the scientific method and why is it important? Well, it helps us get to the root cause and actually do action steps that help the root cause by meeting the objective. Keep people focused on that. So you're going to want to write down the problem statement or statements. Keep them concise, very few words. We don't want complete sentences. 1 to 3 drafts. You might get it in 1 if it's pretty simple. You might use 3 to get people thinking, throwing out ideas of what the root cause. You want to get back to the root cause. That's the most important thing. You don't want to stifle thinking. You don't want to come with a predetermined problem statement. Some might throw out facts thinking they're problems. Go ahead and write those facts down in this spot down here. And sometimes it might be easy to get a fact mixed up with a problem. You can go ahead and start writing some of the facts down as people throw them out to help you get focus back on the problem back here. Third important step is to write down the objective. You may need to get some of the facts down here before you can have an objective. You're going to want to make sure that you choose one statement. In this case, we're going to choose the statement, bad painted sheet metal causes us to miss tack time on value stream 1. Because it's a little more focused than the others, and it's a smaller problem that we think we can solve. So we're going to choose that one. We write down the objective. You want to have the problem clearly defined before you complete the objective. You may not be solving the right problem if you do it in the opposite way. Now people are going to want to start throwing out action ideas, and we want to stay away from that. Keep people focused on the root cause problem, the objective, and it's okay during the first 2 steps to be writing down facts. The fourth important step is to ask for the facts. Write down facts that only are related to the problem. Don't get too far off track. Make sure that all the group, again, is participating. You want to get 5 to 15 facts. 15 is enough. If you go much further than that, it's not going to help you a whole lot. And if you have less than 5, you may want to put down a few more to make sure you have focus on what you're doing. Make sure that there are no action steps yet. You want to make sure and get all the facts down before jumping to solutions. Fifth important step is to review the problem, the objective, and the facts. You just go back up through and read through them. Sixth important step is to start listing possible actions. Based on the root cause, the objective, and the facts, you want to write down some experiments that you think might help to meet the objective. That's the idea. We want action steps that we think are going to meet the objective. There might be other action steps that might help a part of the problem, or they might be helpful to the organization or someone involved, but we really want to try to focus on the objective. Seventh important step is to rate the action steps. So in this case, visually inspect metal when it comes in from plant 1. No effect on policies and practices, so we put a 0. We think it is going to meet the objective, so we put a plus sign. Does positively affect this group in the meeting, and it positively affects production. Now, production also might be a non-factory related thing. It might be an office. It's any output that we are trying to affect in a positive way. So production doesn't necessarily mean on a factory floor. It could be anything in an office or anything else. Another action step is to take vinyl off earlier, just before the roof scaffold, and we went through and rated those again. So you're going to want to come through here and rate each one of these. Make sure you have them all rated. This might be a positive, negative, negative. Change coil suppliers. That might affect policies and practices, but it might meet the objective, might has a positive effect on the group, and might positively affect production. Have plant 1 fab guys visually inspect metal before the vinyl goes on. No effect on policies and practices. You may have some discussions around these items, but you do need to go through and rate each one, so you're not guessing at what meets the objective and what does not. Very important. So 8th important step, you're going to want to decide on the actions. In this case, you want to only decide on actions that have a plus sign here that are going to meet the objective. So we're going to choose number 1. We're going to make Dwayne responsible for that. We're going to have Maynard help him. And the timing of action, let's give him to the end of this month and say 4/1/14. Let's try number 4. Change coil suppliers, make Steve responsible for that. Let's say purchasing group, because he's going to need them to help if this does take place. Again, we're thinking about it in terms of experiments. We're not sure this is going to solve anything. We're not too married to these ideas, but we do want to conduct experiments to see if our theories are correct. 9th important step, set the follow-up meeting. Make sure that the actions are very clear in this section. What actions are we taking? Confirm that the action is doable by the follow-up time. Make sure that that's clear to whoever is responsible in this section. Very important. And confirm the understanding of completion by the follow-up date. It gives us a better chance when everyone's clear of actually getting to an experiment, because we don't want to come back 2 weeks from now and no one's done anything. So make sure that this is doable and make sure it's very clear who's doing what. 10th important step, conduct the follow-up meeting, review the problem, review the facts, review the objective. Each action taken, was the objective met? If so, say, come down here and fill this part out. So this is action number 1 from up here, and the output was, well, let's say it did reduce defects. So yes, it did meet the objective. Action number 4 that Steve was responsible for, not able to complete. No, it did not help the objective. So did we accomplish our objectives? Well, in this case, yes, we did improve it, but not all of them were complete. So we'll say yes. Reason for not meeting, decided not to switch suppliers. And the 11th important step, fill in the adjust section. You want to make sure that if anything came out of this work that affects standards or change requests or potential Kaizen events or communication to people affected, who needs to communicate the new changes, make sure that everyone knows what's going on. So we had a process change, and we want to say communicate to plant to employees, and Maynard is responsible for that one by 4/7, and that's it.